watching this. This is your boy Torgon, aka the Grumpy Dwarf, coming at you with a new video today to give you a Season 5 update. We're playing Erebor this season, and it's been a pretty rough season. We've been getting tag teamed, essentially, between Variag attacking us up here. They marched through Lothlorien's land to hit us over at the Elven King Halls in an attempt to take our capital, and we have been able to turn them away. It's been very busy. I think they tried to take the halls at least 3 or 4 times over the course of the weekend. Excuse me. Meanwhile, we're getting pinched to the east by Rune, who has reclaimed the Greater Rune Keep and came up here and taken Karnan Vale. So hopefully we'll be able to retake Karnan Vale at some point. Our allies, Rohan, have taken the Iron Hills, and some of them have relocated up here in an attempt to push them back down. They're also attacking us over in this area here in the Eastern Hills Keep region, towards the south side of that region. So it's been rough. It's been a rough season for us, and our participation across the faction has not been um, great. We've lost a lot of people who are farming, not fighters. They have all basically, for the most part, quit. A lot of people, because it's the summer months, so people are on vacation, spending time with their families. People may be busy with work. There's a lot of life circumstances that happen during this time, so it's a challenging time. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk through over the course of this video. In addition to just giving you that update, that overview, I'm going to go over a couple of ways that you can kind of look at different in-game stats to determine who is more or less active based upon contribution score, and to distinguish the contribution score that is generated from within your fellowship versus the one from the season. The other item I'd like to walk through is just some updates that I've done to my commanders to adjust to this environment of, once again, fighting only dark side opponents. To the latter effect, let's dive into it, because one of the things that has been happening this season has been a lot of difficulties dealing with enemy commanders like Gorbag or um, Grima. And we are playing the Tactics Evolved campaign, so there are elite trainings that we can do that will add essentially another ability to a tier 3 or higher unit. So the Gorbag is rough because he has madness, stun. He does all these things, and we don't have a way necessarily to penetrate him. The best option would be March Wardens, uh, and then a commander like Celeborn, who is both stun and madness immune. But we don't have March Wardens, and I've basically benched my Celeborn. Although I have him leveled somewhat, his gear is not, pristine by any stretch of the imagination. So I have not had an opportunity to test Celeborn versus either Grima or Gorbag yet, because I just don't have the troops available to spare to perform that kind of a test. If I had a full barracks, then I would be like, all right, let's go for it. But I've been constantly fighting. We haven't even completed 3 weeks of the season yet, and I'm already at 350,000 prestige. So I'm fighting a lot, and all that prestige has attributed to my contribution score, and I'll show you that when I get to that portion of the video. So I have Celeborn geared and leveled a little bit and kind of ready to go if I can ever get my barracks to a state where I can throw some sentinels and heralds on him or some other tanky kind of like thing. But in the meantime, I'm also preparing to use Haldir because Haldir also has built-in stun and stun immunity in his kit. It's part of one of his talents, the guide talent. I'll show it to you real quick, just in case you're not sure what exactly it is I'm talking about. Okay, so first 2 rounds, he's got stun immunity. Well, the army's got stun immunity, I should say, not the commander. And I've built him this way um, because a lot of these commanders also have evasion. So I've given him the foresight ability that is going to give 70% chance for pursuit. Pursuit is going to enable units to go through avoidance. And I also just like Sylvan Elf, the extra poison damage and the 20% chance to gain follow-up for the ranged units. And I'm using Sentinels on him, so if that Force Agility procs, then it's going to do some really significant damage. And then the last thing that I'm leveling, as I'm leveling him, I mean, he's only level 31, so I'll easily finish Galadrim off by the time he's 41 to get that extra 15 might. So that's where I'm at with Haldir, and I've given him the helmet that is going to make all allies madness immune. So he's got stun immunity the first 2 rounds. He's got madness immunity the first 3 rounds. He in this helmet also buffs mounted defense. So I'm basically using cataphracts and or um, war rams or ram riders, whatever they're called, the T3 dwarf mounted unit with him if I have enough. I use the Elven Dirk to buff the range damage dealt by 9%. And then I've given him the Harp of Lorien with Hunter's Mark for another 75% chance to gain Pursuit. So in case Foresight doesn't proc, this should proc. I should get Pursuit every round, the first 3 rounds between Foresight and the Harp. And if I don't, it's going to be rare. So I'm going to test this also versus Grima's and Gorbags to see how it does once I level it a little bit more, because 31 is still a little bit low. Uh, Also, since I got his chest, and that's going to really help. So that gives all Elven units initiative, and then if we're fighting on a wooded tile, it gives him plus 10 defense to all Elven units. So I'm excited to test this out. I haven't made any changes really to my Gandalf. He's the same. Stun immune first 2 rounds. I like this helmet because it gives him a bunch of both focus and might. The chest, focus, might, defense for all melee units. The Elven Dirk that buffs ranged unit damage, and the Wizard Fireworks that buffs range damage. So he gets plus 18% damage to range units. It's pretty significant. He does really well versus Witch Kings and other stuff too, but he does get countered quite easily by Sauron's, and I think Gorbag just smashes him to pieces. Grima smashes him to pieces. So that's why I'm trying to find other solutions for those. My Gilgalad is unchanged. I basically just run him with mostly heralds, sometimes a sprinkle of sentinels. No change. I just need one more of these elven white knives, and then I can boost this up to 8% damage, which will be exciting. I would love to get more of these hunter's guides as well. Yeah, some of the silver harp would be nice too. Beggars can't be choosers though. But for sure, Gilgalad's is a beast. And then I'm still running my Aragorn with Knight's build with the superior hauberk and the full helm that's going to give him over 100% burn damage mitigation in combination with, just from his focus, another 8.3%. So 108.3% burn damage mitigation between those two items in his focus stat, which is really good. And then I put the Axe with Flay on him, so that increases, the amount of damage he's going to be doing the first 4 rounds by ignoring 30% of target's defense. And then the Heath Lane to give him a little heal. Usually heals between 10 and 12k a battle. which can be significant. You just want to keep those knights alive. The longer the knights stay alive, um, the longer he can fight in battle. And it also, just the stats on it are good between giving him might and focus and army HP. So I think it's a really good item on him. And then on the bench, I got Treebeard here. I would love to use Treebeard, but I'm not going to use him against dark side opponents, other than maybe a Witch King. Again, in that scenario where I have a full barracks, I might try him against a Witch King just because of his ability that basically mitigates 90% of all damage, incoming damage for the first 2 rounds, which is when the Witch King really shines. So maybe if we ever fight a light side opponent, I'll get to try him. I'd love to get some Ents on him, but that seems like a very, very far away. So I'm not really counting on being able to do that this season. I might try him with a bunch of Iron Warriors and Ram Riders, but again, just I don't have the troops available to do that. I've given him the good old hammer here. It's also going to inflict defense down by 30% for a round after he attacks. It's got 50% chance, so that's really nice. This chess piece will be really good for Ents. If I can get my little grubby hands on Ents, I got the hood on him that's gonna inflict madness and buff ranged, and then this fiddle that's also gonna increase the and march speed, gives him a bunch of focus. So that's what's up with my commanders. Now in terms of contribution score, a couple things I wanted to just bring to your attention. There is, of course, you see I have this little hand here. I'm going to click on that. It says all help requests completed. That affects the contribution score that you see within the fellowship here, my 6498. So every time I click on that, it's going to give a couple of points to that score. A couple other things that lend towards that contribution score are things like taking tiles or defeating mobs. So these are things that contribute towards leveling the fellowship. So it's a fellowship contribution score. It has absolutely nothing to do, and you can see it here when you click on the fellowship and the little thing. When fellowship members defeat armies and mobs, they will gain experience needed to upgrade the fellowship. That is what you're contributing towards as part of this fellowship contribution score, which is completely separate from this contribution score up here. This contribution score is related to how often you're fighting stuff, your prestige, defeating armies while hitting significant structures, siege, and killing the armies, which I haven't done really any of that this season. So that's why all of my contribution score right now, my contribution ranking, is related to my prestige score, because you can see my contribution score is 3532, and then you come over here and you look at my prestige, and so you can basically just multiply that by 10. So that's where my contribution score is coming from. 3,506 is prestige, and the other, 26 is from me actually sieging something at some point this season. I haven't been able to get too involved in that for a variety of reasons that I'm not going to get into in this video. So I just wanted to make a couple of those distinctions here. I wanted to talk through my Haldir, why I've geared him the way I've geared him, how I plan to use him. And just real quick before we wrap up, I'll show you, here's what I'm using. Gandalf hits like a truck. Haldir, same basic, principle here really. I could use a sprinkle of War Rams in there, but since I have Dwalin right now outfitted, then I won't do that because I don't have a lot of units right now. My barracks are hurt real bad. It's been, real rough. I mean, I have, like I said, I have 350 K prestige. So, and we're not even 3 full weeks into the season yet. Today is Monday. We'll eclipse that 3-week mark in 2 days on a Wednesday. That's when the season started, was on a Wednesday. So we're getting there. So I mean, 3 weeks. We're 19 days into the season, right? So if I have 350,000 prestige at 19 days into the season, that's almost 20,000 prestige a day on average. Of course, averages can be skewed by outliers. So on some days, like yesterday, I had 50,000 prestige I gained yesterday. I started the day at 300,000, I ended at 350,000. Other days, I'm not doing any. If I'm busy, if I'm not playing, something like that. So that's that's averages for you, in case you need a little tutorial on statistics. Let's see what else. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? I don't think there is. Yeah, just wanted to kind of walk through my barracks and so you can see how hurt it is in general. It's real sad. I got a bunch of heralds. Well, it's because I haven't outfitted my Gilgalad yet today. But in general, I'm hurting for troops real bad. Can't even fill Aragorn with knights because he takes 2,800 knights. So once this is done conscripting all these knights, I can fill him. But then as soon as I put him in battle, he's gonna lose them again. So might as well just wait. Today might be a slow day. I might not do anything fighting wise during the day today and just hang out. I'm kind of just waiting for Rune to come and uproot me because they're not far at all from my current position, as you can see here. Oh, look, we've been pushing. We pushed them back a little bit. That's cool. That's nice. Yeah, Azer is awesome. Azer and Morpheus, I think, are pushing them back. So that's good stuff. Maybe I'll jump in and help out a little bit here when I have some more troops to do so. That's good stuff. So yeah, in terms of contribution, one more thing that's what I wanted to talk about. You can use contribution through the leaderboard here across the faction to kind of gain a sense of who's more or less active. Obviously, the top 10 players are probably going to be your most active, most effective, strong players. Kelderon has a ridiculous Galadriel and is active seemingly all the time. So he's a really, really high up. I would be surprised if he was anything but number one on our contribution board at the end of the season. But when you come down, you start looking at the disparity. I mean, I know how much I play and how much I fight, and I'm sitting at number 20 right now in the faction. You keep going down and the disparity, becomes much more significant as you go down. And it's not necessarily indicative to how strong or not strong a player may be. It may just be, again, kind of an indicator of how active you are, because if you're active and you have troops and you're fighting, you're gonna gain more prestige. You're gonna be hitting more stuff. So it's not necessarily that these players aren't strong players, but maybe they're just not playing as much, or maybe they got wiped out and they don't have troops to fight and they're busy rebuilding their troops. There's my buddy Feanor the Hunter. He's a really strong player, but he's busy. He's got a job, he's got a life, and so he fights when he can, but he's not online. I would say nearly to the degree that I am throughout the course of the day. I'm online probably on average 7 to 10 hours or more a day, whereas he's probably only playing maybe 3 or 4. And that you can pretty much right there attribute to the difference in our contribution score. Mine is like twice as high as his. I play twice as much as he does. It's not indicative of who's a better player, who's a stronger player. It's more to me an indication of how active you are. Now, there's different ways you can weigh this. There could be players that are on this list around him right now that aren't strong players but are more active. See what I'm saying, how you can balance these things out, and there's no way to know for sure unless you click into each of these players. You're looking at these players. You can scan public reports like this. Where did it go? I'm not used to this view. So you can scan public reports to see who's doing what where, but it should be noted that your public reports are only going to show types of battle reports. They're generated from reports when someone attacks a structure within the faction. They're generated by members of your fellowship or when attacking significant structures. So I just wanted to read through that real quick, to make you aware of that. And I use public reports often. If you want to know if you see somebody is hitting one of these blue tiles, meaning someone's getting hit on one of your fellowship tiles, you can look at public reports to see what hit them. You don't have to wait for them to post a report, and you shouldn't, because sometimes somebody might be AFK or are not online. So that's the best way to go about understanding who's hitting what, where, when, and um, countering that. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful and insightful, and I haven't taken too much of your time. I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I wish you well. Please feel free to leave a like and a comment below, or shoot me a message in game or on Discord. I appreciate it very much, and I hope the rest of the day, evening, morning, whatever it may be, treats you all well, and I'll see you next time.